It's the end of the Film Optimist summer break, and while I'll be sad to bid this green-screened beach goodbye, I can't think of a better way to end the countdown than to bring things right back to the beginning. Today's Captain America is a strange version as adaptations go, but an important one, because he was the very first time Captain America or any Marvel superhero found his way onto a screen. This is Dick Purcell and Captain America, the Republic serial. Born in Greenwich, Connecticut on August 6, 1905, Richard Gerald Purcell Jr. grew up attending a Catholic school before attending college at Fordham University, a private Jesuit research university in New York City, where he was on the university hockey team. Purcell found his way onto the stage beginning in smaller off-Broadway productions and had a handful of uncredited roles in short subjects that filmed in New York. He would wind up in the Broadway cast of Plymouth Theater's production of Sidney Howard's Paths of Glory as Sergeant Gounod, opening on September 26, 1935. It was this performance that caught the eye of a Hollywood talent scout for Cosmopolitan Productions. Thanks to that scout, Purcell would be cast in a small but credited role in the studio's Ceiling Zero, featuring James Cagney and Pat O'Brien, and directed by Howard Hawks. The film was distributed by Warner Brothers and racked up positive reviews. Purcell would briefly be under contract to Universal Studios, but the majority of his career was spent working non-stop for Poverty Row Studios, where he gained a reputation as a tireless workhorse. Poverty Row was not an official title. It was a loose collection of film studios, some of whom had formed in New York before moving out to Los Angeles, who thrived by producing B-movies for the major studios. Their work was fast and cheap, and they survived by dealing in bulk. In the first year of his career alone, Purcell appeared in 13 feature films, including the fourth film in the original Perry Mason series, The Case of the Velvet Claws. 1937 was a slower year for Purcell. He appeared in only 11 movies that year, but clearly Purcell had found his niche. With a prominent jaw and bulky frame in comparison to most Hollywood stars of the time, Purcell was typecast early on as a heavy. You didn't see him as an unstoppable force, but rather as an immovable object. But he was known for approaching traditional tough guy roles with a sense of humor and a level of sensitivity that was not frequently seen in the fast-paced world of B-movies. He excelled in the favorite genres of Poverty Row: military pictures, crime thrillers, and the occasional horror or sci-fi. In 1942, Purcell had a whirlwind romance with actress Ethelyn Terry. Terry, who was 6 years Purcell's senior, had previously been married to Poverty Row producer Benedict Bujold, and already had a thriving stage career, as well as a number of film appearances, including 1930's Lord Byron of Broadway and the 1937 Tex Ritter western Arizona Days. Purcell and Terry eloped to Las Vegas and were married on March 3, 1942, but the marriage would not last long. And when I say it would not last long, I mean that they were divorced a little over 5.5 months later.
This is what we're after.
Just a minute. Throw your gun in the corner.
You too.
In 1935, film financier and entrepreneur Herbert J. Yates was in a bit of a bind. His company, Consolidated Film Industries, had relied on the major studios for most of its business. See, CFI was a film processing laboratory that specialized in motion picture film, and in order to have such a business, you need customers with film to process. But the Great Depression had led major studios to tighten their belts, and one of their favorite tactics had turned out to be moving all of their film processing in-house. The major studios weren't coming to Yates to develop their work anymore, and doing so meant that they could save enough money to produce even more films, which had the add-on effect of meaning that the majors could produce their own B-pictures and didn't have to rely so much on Poverty Row studios like Monogram or Mascot. So those studios suddenly found themselves being pushed out of business. That meant that even the smaller studios were no longer reliable customers for Yates. It's kind of like there's a whole interrelationship between businesses in an economy, and when one business decides to not play fair with other businesses, suddenly everything collapses. There should be a term for something like that, like a domino. In an effort to save his business, Yates founded a new company, Republic Pictures. 6 of his remaining clients, Monogram, Mascot, Liberty, Majestic, Chesterfield, and Invincible, were heavily in debt to him, and Yates gave them a simple offer. They could all consolidate under the umbrella of his new studio, where they would be allowed to continue operating largely independently, or they could face foreclosure of their lab bills. The 6 studios unanimously accepted Yates's conditions and began working in collaboration as Republic. On their own, the studios had been flailing as the Depression worsened, but as part of Republic, they combined all of their strengths. Yates had put together a film company that, although new, had decades of experience producing B-movies and low-budget melodramas, and that had a complete, established distribution system already in place. It wasn't able to produce on the level that the major studios did, but it was already able to produce and compete at a higher level than any of its component studios ever had. Early on, Westerns were Republic's bread and butter, and they hit hard with a stable of Western stars that included Gene Autry, Rex Allen, Roy Rogers, and John Wayne. But the product that Republic is most remembered for today is probably its serial films. Serials were popular as companion pieces for feature-length films, and they were shot cheap and fast, perfect for Republic's business model. Between 1936 and 1955, Republic would shoot and release 68 serials, with most of them ranging anywhere from 10 to 22 chapters. Western serials, of course, were a big part of their business, but they also raided literature, comics, and the radio for source material, producing serials based on Robinson Crusoe, Dick Tracy, Sax Rohmer's Fu Manchu novels, Captain Marvel, the Shazam Captain Marvel, of course, and Edgar Rice Burroughs' Nyoka the Jungle Girl, as just a small sampling of their titles. So when Timely Comics had a sudden smash hit with Captain America, Republic came calling. They wanted to be in the Captain America business, and Timely was ready and willing to work with them. So ready, in fact, that they reportedly gave Cap to Republic for free in anticipation of the publicity that they would receive when the serial was released.
Start talking. Who's your boss?
I don't know his name. Stop, the 2 bullets left.
Yes. I'll hit one presently.
Wait, I'll talk. His name is Maxim.
Keep talking.
Filming began on October 12th of 1943, and all 15 23-minute chapters finished filming on November 24th of the same year. The scripts were written by a veritable murderer's row of the top serial writers in the industry, and with a budget of $182,623, this was the single most expensive serial that Republic had ever produced. And when it went over by 22%, it also earned the distinction of being the most over budget of their serials. In many ways, this was a prestige piece. It's hard to argue that they did not devote money and resources to making a film about the most popular comic hero of the time. The story was a wide-traveling adventure in which Captain America investigates a rash of mysterious suicides among America's most prominent scientists and businessmen, only to find out that they were actually murders. A villain called the Scarab has been using a hypnotic chemical called the Purple Death to push these men into self-harm. It climaxed in a set of Mayan ruins with Captain America in a pitched battle with the Scarab, who is trying to unmask Captain America to the public. As part of production, Republic sent chapters to Timely for review, and Timely had notes. Notes which can best be summed up as WTFing-F. For starters, they weren't happy with the casting of Dick Purcell as Captain America, because they felt Purcell was too heavy set. Remember, Captain America is an action hero, and that's the case in the serial as well. Captain America gets into fistfights. Captain America runs. Captain America jumps. He is an unstoppable force. But Dick Purcell's physique was more in line with an immovable object. In Timely's notes, they said that he looked overweight in the Captain America costume. They also asked why Cap's secret identity was not Steve Rogers, U.S. Army private, but rather Grant Gardner, district attorney. There was no Bucky, the story did not feature any Nazis for Cap to fight, and Captain America had neither super strength nor a snazzy shield to throw. Instead, he had America's favorite superpower, a gun. I love the fact that they complained that Captain America didn't get to punch any Nazis. Jack Kirby definitely had a hand in that. The gun was a particular sticking point because comic book Captain America actually was morally opposed to using a gun. In short, Timely wrote that the story was wrong, all wrong. Republic put their response to Timely in writing. They had worked, they said, from the sample pages that Timely had sent over, as though nobody was able to actually go out to a newsstand and spend 10 cents on an issue of the comic. In those sample pages, Timely had not indicated to them that Captain America was a soldier. They had not told Republic that his name was Steve Rogers, and they had not indicated that he would object to carrying a gun. And, furthermore, shooting on the serial had advanced so far that changing anything at this point would require expensive reshoots or overdubbing. And Timely, it turns out, would have a hell of a time getting them to do any of this because it wasn't required in their licensing contract. Republic's Captain America continued ahead as it was.
Grant, thank heaven you're safe.
So is the control unit for Professor Dodge's locating device. The Scarab won't know that. I'll prepare a headline that'll convince him it's still safe to use the firebolt.
Captain America released throughout 1944, and it was well received by audiences, but Republic's experience working with Timely and the final price tag of the production reaching almost $4 million in today's dollars soured them on working with comic book companies. Before Captain America, they had also adapted Batman, Captain Marvel, and Spy Smasher. But Cap would be the last comic book character to grace their serial production schedule. From then on, Republic focused on developing original properties. The fact that serial Captain America bears so little resemblance to comic book Captain America has led fans over the years to speculate that Republic may have started developing the script with another property in mind. Some have speculated that it might have started as a sequel to Republic's first Mysterious Dr. Satan serial, which was an original character, although he was based in part on National Comics, aka DC Comics, Superman, which they had begun development on before losing the rights to another studio. Others have pointed out that his character bears striking similarities to Fawcett Comics' Mr. Scarlet, who had been popular at the newsstands just a couple of years earlier, but who had fallen out of style by the time Republic went calling it timely. Among other things, this would explain the gun and the district attorney day job. In fact, just about every pulp or comic character who didn't make it onto the screen has at one point been put forward as a candidate for who was supposed to be the original subject of the serial. On April 10th, 1944, Dick Purcell played 18 holes of golf with friends at the Riviera Country Club and, afterward, entered the locker room to change clothes. His body was discovered later when his friends became concerned at how long he had been gone. The coroner determined that Purcell had been killed by a sudden, massive heart attack. He was only 38 years old. In his book Serials, Suspense and Drama by Installment, Raymond William Stedman speculated that Purcell's heart had not been able to deal with the high level of activity involved in filming Captain America, and that explanation has entered the legend surrounding the serial and its star, who died tragically young. But there are some problems with the theory. First of all, Purcell was not, as Stedman thought when he wrote the book, only 2 weeks out of production on Captain America. He died instead 2 weeks after Captain America premiered in theaters. It had actually been 5 months since he had filmed the serials, and in between, he had finished several more movies. Just before his death, he had wrapped working on the comedy Leave It to the Irish, which was actually his final role, but with the extended schedule involved in a serial, the last half of Captain America would be the last Dick Purcell movies to be released. And second, while Purcell had participated in a lot of fight scenes where his face would be on camera, he did have a stuntman for Captain America. Dale Van Sickle was in the costume for the most difficult physical business, a former college, football, basketball, and baseball star and inductee into the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame, who had started his Hollywood career performing stunts in 1933's Duck Soup with the Marx Brothers. While it makes a nice coda to the legend of Dick Purcell and Captain America to say that he threw himself into the role so hard that he effectively acted himself to death, the more likely possibility is that Dick Purcell had a previously undiagnosed heart condition that wound up being aggravated by playing 18 holes of golf. Republic Pictures would continue producing serials and shorts until 1947, when Yates would decide to shift the company's focus exclusively to producing features. Republic started to hemorrhage talent. The survivors of the 6-component studios that had been folded into Republic were growing increasingly disappointed with Yates's increasing role as their producer. He began to try to exert creative control, and in response, many of the businessmen left Republic Pictures, reactivating their former studios and re-entering as Republic's competition. In 1951, Republic became the first Hollywood studio to offer their film library to television stations through their subsidiary Hollywood Television Service. But while Republic had the kind of fast-paced, under-budget experience that should have made them a success in the new world of TV, they never quite adjusted. By 1957, they had cut their annual production of movies by over half, and at the annual meeting in 1958, it is reported that Yates broke down in tears as he announced that Republic was ending all feature film production. 1 year later, Republic would be sold to a turnaround specialist. Over the next few years, it would not produce original film and television, but would focus on licensing its previously released material and expanding into other unrelated businesses, such as the production of plastics. 5 actors who played Captain America. Did you notice that 3 of them were born in New England and moved to Hollywood? 4 if you count Sandy Becker, who may have never moved to Hollywood, but he was born in New York, which is part of New England. Apparently, there's something about New Englanders that just screams, "This is an American superhero." I was not born in New England. I was born in Northern California, so perhaps I don't scream American superhero. However, I have been told that I would be a great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as, say, one of the senators who yells at Captain America, complaining that his mere existence is taking away the rights of American citizens. Primarily, I've been told that by my spouse, Gabrielle. She always says that I have a chance with the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they always need blustering senators. Thank you for tuning in to this Film Optimist mini-series. I hope you enjoyed our dive into the men who have portrayed Captain America over the years. We'll be back soon with regular weekly updates. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and that you have notifications on so that YouTube lets you know when we post new videos. And if you're new around here and want to see more, be sure to check out my previous Halloween and Christmas countdowns. Links to those playlists are in the description below. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a job to get back to. Until next time, citizen, watch like it means something.